Okay, this is the TechSpce MobileCast. This is our second run, and hopefully it'll be much better than our first one. And if sophomore slumps are true, then I don't envy any of you listening. Alright, so shall we start? Let's start off with WWDC, a little bit of Apple news.
Oh, we should probably introduce everyone that's here.
Nah, because, I mean, they know you and me, and that's really all that matters.
I guess you're right. You're right.
I'm Jake Enser. I'm the editor-in-chief of TechSpce.
I'm Alec Weesey. I'm a senior editor at TechSpce.
My name is Stig Osmussen. I'm a brand new editor at TechSpce.com. I will be specializing in... I'm sorry, I can't give a straight face. I'm sorry.
No one else can see your face.
Well, in any case, I'm going to start over. Okay.
Wait, hold on. Can we just start this whole thing over?
Oh... We need to include a bloopers or like outtakes from this one because this shit's getting good.
let's just keep it. Let's just keep it. We'll let everyone enjoy.
Well, hi guys, it's Lucas.
Your position at the site is.
Huh?
What is your?
Yeah, that's right. I'm the gaming guy. I wouldn't exactly say expert, but. You know,
and
you're a senior editor,
and he's crossing over into mobile.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now that
because
he's gotten himself a smartphone that he had for a week, he's now a mobile person.
I'm bridging the gap.
You know what? Let's. Why don't we just jump in and let Lucas whine about his cellular woes for a couple of minutes before we get into the real stuff. I feel like we should just get it out of his system now. Seeing as he's been trying to invest 40 minutes.
Get the mythological conspiracies regarding how supernatural forces are trying to keep me from having a quality phone. I think the cosmos enjoys watching me squirm, trying to text and call like a normal human. Yeah, I mean, between having no 1X, having it delayed by customs, having it get sent to the wrong address, having nobody know where it is, to lending the phone out for a week and not having it activated for a half a week, and then only having it for a week, and then having it break after a week, and then how having to send the phone in to HTC for 2 weeks. So yeah. Now that I've complained, very nice facial hair.
Yeah, I don't know if I can put words to describe exactly what I just saw for everyone listening. But getting fancy. All right, that's.
Have you guys heard of these Google effects? They're kind of cool.
I have. I've been trying to put a silly hat on Lucas all freaking night, and it tells me I need to upgrade my plugin. Oh, tiara. What?
Can we put them on people?
Yeah, apparently Lucas has the tiara. Okay, now he's got a Google sweatband. I want a mustache. Give me a mustache, considering it doesn't allow me to do it. No, this is bull.
I'm content with my mustache. I'm enjoying this a lot.
Holy snap, I can add things.
Oh, goodness.
Layering them. Look at those eyebrows.
We are never going to get this... okay, we should...
I no longer have blonde eyebrows.
We should really probably...
Hold on.
Oh, no.
Glasses on. My hipster glasses.
Oh.
Boom.
This is bull. These aren't working for me. Yeah. Excuse me. I hate this. I hate all of you.
Okay,
I'm Catwoman.
Let's move on then. All right, so Lucas, sad, phone broke. Wow.
Yep.
Lucas's phone is broken while Jake and I are, for some reason Lucas, enjoying jelly beans, and for some reason I can take Lucas more seriously with the cat mask on than I can normally.
Okay, so now that we've talked about Lucas and his phone sadness, let's move on to some actual news. Apple had an event a couple weeks ago. Oh, by the way, for anyone listening, we're going over the past month of news as we have not been keeping up on podcasts. So yeah, we're going to start with Apple, and they announced really nothing special with iOS 6.
No, sadly not. Yeah. They've, I think for me the biggest thing is that I've been waiting for a UI change in iOS for like the past 3 versions now, and have yet to see anything. Like, it's just becoming really, really stale. Especially with widgets on Android and the redesigned Windows Phone 8 start screen, which we'll eventually get to. Just having this static screen that doesn't show you anything but apps is looking really redundant, and just like they're not trying anymore. So I'm afraid they're like turning into like a sleeping giant like Nokia and RIM are, even though they have constant competition from Microsoft and Google.
Kind of going on that, I have to touch on my my broken phone again. But after having used just my 1X for a week, and then the day it broke, I had to do a bunch of, calling around and whatnot, so I borrowed my friend's iPhone. Well, when I was holding his phone, and he was like, we were arguing about which one was better, like, he showed me the phone, and he has, I think, literally like 100 apps all in his home screen, and he's got just like a whole screen that's just every tile is a folder, and every folder is filled to the brim with apps, and it was just hideous. It was not pretty to look at. That
just sounds like hell. Like, especially because folders, you can only see on an iPhone, like 6 or 4 of the apps that are actually inside the folder.
Yeah, I think it's
You'd
9.
have no clue anything is. Is it 9?
I think so, but they're really, really tiny.
In any case,
I know it can on like an iPad. It'll show those, but I don't. Okay, 9, but still. That's a lot of really tiny icons. Most people probably don't have eyesight good enough to distinguish all of those different icons.
On a screen that's
especially
3.5
when
inches.
Yeah, especially on a screen that small.
That was the other thing I was going to touch on, was that, with all that dense clutter and whatnot, that was annoying. But then, I don't know, I really like having the back button on, like my 1X. It's really convenient because I found myself, I don't know what I was doing, but I wanted to go back to like a previous screen rather than going back to the main menu and having to navigate my way. And it wasn't like a huge gripe, but it was a little bit inconvenient. And I don't know, just after like those couple things, I was like, I'm kind of like, I really want to see Apple do something kind of cool and new. So not just widgets, but bigger screen, maybe like a back button. I mean, it's a little bit like kind of simple stuff, but it'd be welcomed as far as I'm concerned.
Well, here's the thing that surprised the thing that surprised me most with WWDC was that they didn't say anything about a bigger screen size, especially because it's a developer's event. So you'd think they would have to say, "Hey, by the way, we're doing a bigger screen size, so make your apps like expandable so they can fit on a 4-inch screen."
So yeah, and that would make me wonder if maybe they'll announce the next iPhone a little earlier than September, so they can give developers maybe a month or 2 to help reformat applications for like a 4-inch display instead of the 3.5 or whatever screen size they would go with if they do switch it, instead of just announcing it in September and saying, "Hey, it's going to be available 2 weeks later," like they have every time so far.
Yeah, that would make sense.
I mean, yeah, I'm, as far as I'm concerned, now that I've got, the 1X, as long as, like, I'm really digging, like, all the cool, like, little stuff that's happening with, Android and HTC and I mean, even, Samsung, all sorts of stuff on, like, Android, I think is, like, a lot more interesting to me now that I'm kind of more a part of that and I'm not, like, an iPhone or, like, an iOS consumer anymore. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we want to dive a little bit into some of the more specific things announced, I will say that I think the new maps don't look good. I think I'd still prefer seeing Google Maps instead of whatever mapping data Apple's using, OpenStreetMaps, I think. And turn by turn is a welcome thing. Like, it should have been there a long time ago because it's been on Android since Eclair version 2.0. But like the fact that it is only available on the 4S is just flat out ridiculous. Or 4S and future hardware. Same with Siri only being available on the iPad 3 the new iPad and the next generation
4S,
iPad.
Is that right?
It's on, yeah, and the 4S. Sorry, but like I understand that they're doing beta products, so they kind of will be able to limit how many people are getting access to them. But they're shutting out features that devices are 100% capable. Like all of the past devices are 100% capable of using. They're just refusing to do so, and not like I have an iPad, and I would never use it for navigation, but it's still kind of BS that I can't get it. You know, they're putting artificial limitations, and it's, I don't know, as a consumer, that's something that really aggravates me.
I mean, I've been kind of like, I don't know, as a consumer, I've been kind of upset with a little bit of what Apple's been doing. I mean, the way they played hardball with HTC and blocking the imports was really, really annoying.
Oh, I could do a whole freaking podcast on all the BS lawsuits that go around in technology.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, I don't know. I'm not really a fan of like a lot of this hardball that, you know, people are playing. I don't know. I just like seeing cool new ideas, and it's kind of a shame when we instead get lawsuits.
Yeah, it really stifles innovation, and there's not really that much being done to help revamp the patent process whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Jake, anything else to add?
Well, on the maps front, I don't understand the need for the 3D flyover.
You know, I think it's eye candy, just like how Google's added some eye candy with Maps and Earth over the years. But yeah, it is completely frivolous.
But for that to be like, hey, check out our new maps because they're so much better than Google Maps because you can do a 3D flyover. I mean, that's nothing to me that's exciting.
It just feels like they're grasping for straws a bit with this announcement. Like, I really hope they have something bigger waiting in the wings for next year, because there was nothing that made me want to go back to an iPhone or consider an iPhone, if another one, whenever the next one comes out, because my contract will definitely be out, shortly after the next one will be released. Mm-hmm. If it comes out this fall, but like nothing compelled me to say, yeah, I want an iOS device again. And as much like I love well-built hardware, but software is a much bigger part of the user experience. So seeing the software they've shown off, I think I can confidently say that there's nothing that would make me want to go back to iOS at this point.
Yeah, same here.
The one thing.
Go ahead.
I mean, just like the one thing I want to say really quick is, like I've still got like an iPod Touch right now. I was actually going to give it away up until my phone broke. And the one thing that I was having to prepare for was getting ready to see all of my cool little apps go away that I can't have on Android. Like there's like a bunch of really cool little apps that are kind of only available on the iTunes App Store or the iPod App Store. I don't know. That's like one thing, but I wouldn't exactly say that Infinity Blade is a killer app by any means.
No, though, just quick interjection, Epic did mention this week that it is their most profitable game ever, though.
I heard
which is
that.
super
That's
cool.
Kind of crazy. But
Yeah.
it's like $6 to buy, which is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I mean, kind of going with that, it's not like a huge surprise when you think about it, Infinity Blade being their most profitable franchise. but I'm a little bit worried that that's going to make Epic complacent. I don't know. I like seeing cool new stuff from them.
I'm not a fan of Infinity Blade at all. It's basically a glorified Fruit Ninja. Like, if you think about it.
Prettier versions. Yeah, it is. It's simple. And whatever game they showcased, was it back at the new iPad announcer, or was it WWDC that they showcased whatever their next game was like a dungeon crawler, Diablo-looking game?
Fortnite?
Yes, that. Is that out?
That was shown off at last year's Spike Video Game Awards.
Really?
I remember that. It was kind of a polarizing thing. I don't know. I'm kind of interested. It looks a lot more Minecrafty than anything, I think.
No. We are not thinking of the same thing.
Oh, really? We're not?
I know what you're thinking of. Fortnite was like an HD Minecraft sort of thing. But what I'm talking about is, I can't remember if it was at the iPad 3 announcement or at WWDC, that they showcased like game set in the Infinity Blade universe, very dungeon crawler-esque, very Diablo-looking sort of game that looked like it's much deeper in comparison to Infinity Blade. So I wouldn't say they get complacent, and of course they did show off Unreal Engine 4 tech demos like back at the beginning of the year, and they have a new Gears coming out this fall for Xbox? I don't remember anymore.
It's not this fall. That's definitely like a next spring, possibly.
23rd. Okay.
The two things with that, though, just like a side note, I know this isn't exactly where the conversation is. It's getting a little off topic, but just kind of a side note. I don't know. Gears of War Judgment is actually being made by People Can Fly, the guys who made Bulletstorm. So it's actually being outsourced, which is pretty interesting.
Well, I wouldn't say outsourced. Epic owns the studio.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it's not their Gears team that's working on it.
Well, hopefully that means that team's working on something else unannounced.
Yeah,
And I hate to.
We all know they have to be
to,
working on something with Unreal Engine 4.
Yeah, I hate to cut you off, Lucas, but we are getting a bit off topic. So,
okay. No problem.
Do you want to venture into the Microsoft Surface, considering iOS doesn't seem to have a lot for us to talk about, or do you have any other points, Jake?
I wanted to talk real quick about Siri and some of the additions they added with Siri.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Overall, it's really not that big of a deal, but they did add like sports answers, and they integrated with OpenTable and restaurant reservations and stuff. Theater times.
Yeah, which is like everything that Google also.
Graph.
Yeah, everything Google showed off at I/O 2 days ago with Google Now was what Apple just showed off with Siri. So Google's coming with that right out of the gate, which is interesting. But we'll talk obviously more about Jelly Bean later in the show. But yeah,
Facebook was integrated into iOS 6, which Facebook's a dying name, unfortunately. Well, fortunately, because I hate Facebook, but
their stock prices certainly indicate it.
And then lastly, the Do Not Disturb feature, which is really small, but actually probably one of the most intriguing features of it, which doesn't say much for iOS 6, but basically you can set it so your phone won't ring at night while you're asleep between certain hours, unless like certain individuals call. So you can have it like if you're a parent and say, hey, if I want my kid's staying the night somewhere, I want to make sure I can get their call if they need to get a hold of me. But I don't want to be.
Oh, my mom would be the first person that would put on. She would put on "Do Not Disturb" would be me. So.
But basically, it's kind of a glorified Smart Actions for Motorola devices.
Yeah, and
like
I've been able to do that.
Actions.
Yeah, I've been able to do that with apps on Android for a long time. Not just Smart Actions that Moto unveiled with the skin formerly known as Blur back with the Razr. But yeah, and also just the whole their wallet concept or whatever it's called, that holds all your different credit cards and gift cards and things like that. I don't see that being compelling or useful in any way unless they put NFC in the next iPhone, which which seems, and I'm just going to assume here, but it seems very obviously that's why they're including it, is because they're going to put NFC in their next iPhone.
Yeah,
it just makes sense.
Exactly. kind of to stay on Apple real quick, this hasn't anything to do with WWDC, but we'll mention it now before we move on into other realms. But today they released Chrome and Drive for iOS, which was kind of about time. Because I love Drive.
Finally.
Good for them.
I love Google Drive, and I certainly love Google Chrome. Now I can open up a tab on my phone, read part of an article on my iPad, and then read the rest of it on my computer later, and it'll sync all of that across, which is just like, I don't know. It's pretty mind-blowing if you ask me, not to sound hyperbolic, but it's really freaking cool.
It's really nice. The only issue, though, with iOS is that Apple still won't let you choose a default browser that's not Safari.
No, and Google's not capable of implementing the V8 JavaScript engine, or the Nitro JavaScript engine, I think is what it's called now. So it's not as fast as it is on like an Android device, but I will take whatever. I will waste the tens of milliseconds at a time of my life if that means I can use Chrome
instead of Safari.
Yes, instead of Safari.
Didn't Google have like a little announcement, like isn't Chrome like the most widely used web browser? Is that right?
Did claim that today, yeah. At the Day 2 keynote for WWDC, they did claim that Chrome was the #1 browser in the world.
Which is awesome. Except for the fact that their recent updates have been kind of buggy, which made me sad.
Yeah, a little bit.
But Chrome has been kind of buggy.
I've noticed, some issues with Flash mainly.
Which is probably an indication of them moving away from it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it seems. Because they've hit, like, stable channels at, like, 18 right now, and dev channels at 20? Hold on.
Yeah, something like that.
I want to check. Dev channels at 20, because that's the channel I use. But and the stable build's at 18. So... They had Flash down for a long time. It's obviously something to move away from. But so I guess if we're on WWDC, and I know we're not, I know this is mobile, but the Retina MacBook Pro is probably one of the coolest computers I've ever seen. Like it makes me
pretty slick.
It's like I now feel like my less than a year old 15-inch MacBook Pro is not only fat, but it is also slow. Just in comparison, it feels so bad,
and not as pretty.
Not nearly. Its face is not nearly as pretty.
I'm actually looking forward to. I have a little envelope, and actually, I might pull it out right now. That says MacBook Air Fund right on it. And I'm saving up probably around $1,300 to buy a 13-inch MacBook Air with an Ivy Bridge processor that I'm extremely looking forward to.
Yeah, that's awesome. My sister actually just had her 4-year-old MacBook is starting to like die completely. The battery is damaged beyond repair. It won't hold a full charge. It shuts off randomly, and then the hard drive is starting to malfunction on a consistent basis. So I told her she works all the freaking time, so she'll have enough money by the end of summer to get herself a new computer. But she's definitely going to be. I definitely told her that you might as well get the 13-inch Air and not even bother with the 13-inch Pro. It's just not worth it.
Oh, exactly. Well, I'll buy an Air.
Or you could just go Retina display.
She's not going to have that kind of money, and all she uses it for is Facebook anyhow, and papers now that she'll be in college.
Gotcha. How much is the MacBook Air? Timeout, sorry.
Which one?
The smallest one.
The 11 inches start at the 11 inch starts at or just under $1,000. It's $899 if you're a student, actually.
Is it?
Which is as far as I know, student discounts still applied. Last time I checked,
does, but
I might
I'm
be
pretty
wrong.
sure it's only $50 on the Air.
Oh,
so it's only $9.
That could be right. Well, $50 saved is $50 saved. As a college student, I will say that easily.
Very true.
But
I will say, if the ThinkPad X1 Carbon comes out before I buy my Air, I will buy it no matter what. Like, no questions asked. I don't even care. And it's poorly spec'd.
Yeah.
That thing looks beautiful in every single facet.
Lenovo
seen
does
it.
make really cool looking computers, if you ask me.
I'm actually using a Lenovo machine right now. They should be sponsoring our
Ho-ho.
podcast.
They should. We need to, I don't know, blackmail? Is that the word I'm looking for? Yeah, let's find out a way to blackmail Lenovo. Not like ask for endorsement, but legitimately blackmail them.
I might be able to. This is no, even close to a possibility, but there's the slightest chance that if I get this job at Pioneer, I might have enough connections to get a hold of Dell and get either some Dell machines or some Dell ads or sponsorships, something like that, because they're partners with Dell.
That'd be pretty sweet.
That would be kind of cool, but
Oh no.
we'll see about that. I'm going to edit that out of the podcast because I'm pretty sure there'll be people who work at Pioneer listening.
Yeah,
that
I was
wouldn't
thinking
be
about
cool.
it. There's maybe like a couple snippets here and there that we might want to edit out, but
Yeah. But okay, so like back on track, maybe.
Yeah.
Like the 8th time we've had to get back on track, but it's all good.
Surface event?
Yes. Okay. Totally. So, do you want? I guess I'll go brief overview for those who don't know. Oh crap! Not server connection lost. Please stay connected. Back to the. Okay. All right. So Microsoft had their surprise unveiling of their Surface tablet. Last week, right?
Yep, last week.
Yeah, last week. Sorry, that was a crazy week for Microsoft news. Almost forgot about. So they unveiled 2 versions: the Surface for Windows RT, and then the Microsoft Surface for Windows Pro, which are terrible, terrible naming conventions, by the way. But we all know Microsoft's bad at naming. So, I get the main
Almost
difference
as
is
bad as
being
Nintendo.
yes, almost. But it just seems like. But so the difference is the RT is a ARM tablet running the NVIDIA, pretty much ubiquitous NVIDIA Tegra 3 processor, and Windows RT or Windows for ARM, with a less than HD display. I don't know the exact resolution, but it's not as nice as one on the Pro.
Well, it's still an HD display. They've said that they're both HD, but the Pro is just better. And they didn't really specify farther than that.
Yeah, vague. That's the big theme with the Surface announcement is vague. But so the thing with the Pro is that it has an Intel Core 5 Ivy Bridge processor, and also has a digitizing pen that you can use with it that actually samples at something like 600 DPI, which is absurd. That's twice the resolution of a printed page. So writing would be really, really good on it. I don't know how big that would be for most consumers, but I think that's kind of a nice feature. And then the industrial design of the actual device is what's really interesting. It has a nice little built-in kickstand flap thing. I don't know exactly what to call it, and then I don't remember whatever material combination they named what it's made of.
It's a tablet growth.
It's called Vapor MG.
Vapor MG, some super fancy.
Let's call it the Surface Tumor.
It's way too small to be a tumor.
It's made with liquid magnesium,
which I guess is
the Vapor MG.
Which I guess is impressive. It's well built. Excuse me. It's supposed to be durable. But I think the biggest talking point beyond Microsoft announcing a tablet was the fact their little. I want to call it a flip cover because that's what it is. That's basically because that's what I think of from an iPad. But their cover, that there are 2 versions. One has an actual tactile keyboard in it with a 1 millimeter raise to the keys, and then the other one is a full multi-touch keyboard that hooks in via I think it's Bluetooth, or there's connectors. Sorry, there's connectors at the bottom that plugs into, and you now have with the stand you can prop the full thing up, and it just looks like an Ultrabook, I guess, almost, as that's what it kind of turns it into. It goes from tablet to full computer with the snap-on of a cover. And the cover includes a trackpad and all that, and it has function keys and a full keyboard. So that is probably the most that's the thing I'm most excited to get my hands on if we can get our hands on a Surface, is trying out exactly how that whole cover works, because it looks super, super cool.
And we are on a list
pretty fly.
to get it, so that's one thing.
That is very, very exciting. Yeah, we are on the list. That's super cool.
One big cool thing about the tablets is the Pro version has a USB 3.0 port in it, which is impressive due to the size of it, because that's about all. That's about the size of the tablet, is the size of the USB port.
Yeah, it's about as thick as it gets. Is that? Yeah.
And then they didn't announce it at all, but they've got like a version of Apple's MagSafe connector to charge it. It's got like, I think 5 pins on it and hooks via magnet, and kind of stays on that way, which is kind of nice. Let's see, I'm looking at the specs list. The i5 comes with 128 gig of SSD storage, which is really, really impressive.
Mm-hmm. And very expensive.
Very expensive. But I'm still expecting it to be around $899, maybe $999 to compete with all their Ultrabooks.
If it needs to be go over $1,000, yeah, they will have failed. If they put it over $1,000.
I know it's supposed to compete with even like the Series 9. That's at like $1,700. If they're really truly going for an Ultrabook and tablet competitor, it has to be sub $1,000.
I totally agree.
And then the ARM one, my guess is it'll be around $399. I don't know about any of you guys, but that's my predictions.
Yeah, I'd put it around I want to be optimistic and say it'll be like $300, that they'll sell it at this huge loss to get it in consumers' hands. But I think $400 or $450 is a way more likely scenario, and I think that's a fine price point. And I guess the reason we are talking so much about its price is that Microsoft said nothing about its price in the unveilment. Yes, they said the words "will be competitive," which quite honestly is more business talk. It doesn't really mean anything at this point. It can give us guesstimations, but that's it. And that brings on the subject of, was this announcement rushed, or is this premature to when they planned it being?
I don't think so. I think it was the fact that they had demo units available that were looking like the actual release models. I think is not rushed at all, because they had to get it out before I/O. And they just had to. They had to get some buzz before the Nexus 7 came out, because everyone's going to want one of those for $200.
True, and I'll agree with you that they want to get some buzz, but I feel like the buzz they get is completely overshadowed by the fact that you can't get your hands on one. Like, that's hugely important. Google announced the Nexus 7 yesterday, and right at the end it's like, hey, ships in 2 or 3 weeks. Go place your pre-order right now.
However,
kind of a big.
Go ahead, Lucas.
Oh, I was just gonna say that's kind of a big deal. I mean, I'm kind of in that camp with Alec. I mean, as cool as like the Surface looks, I'm not a super patient sort of person.
Most consumers aren't, I think, is the real issue.
Yeah. I mean, as cool as it looks, I mean, I've already got something that, I've got my MacBook. I don't particularly need something that functions as a computer. I don't have a tablet, so that there's kind of a void in my life where I could have one. Well, right now I could get, the Nexus 7 looks pretty cool. That's just me. I'm just kind of the average consumer.
But do you want a 7-inch device? Because I don't. That's my thing. I don't want a 7-inch.
Yeah, it does seem small.
Is that how big it is?
Yeah, it's only 7-inch screen. I don't think.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how I think about that, but that's kind of goes to show. As a average consumer on this standpoint, between kind of the Surface and the Nexus 7, I didn't know sizes. I just see what looks to be like a cool Android tablet versus a really cool Windows tablet that doubles up as kind of like a computer. While the Surface looks really cool, I think that looks super slick. I'm kind of going to forget about it if there's not like a pricing thing, and if it's not like released soon. That's just kind of how I am, you know?
Well,
Yeah, and
go ahead.
no, you go. No, you've been waiting. You go.
Okay. I have this theory that Microsoft has planned all of this from the point of them saying, "Hey, the developers' preview of Windows 8 is going to be available for everyone starting whenever that was, October of last year." I think it was all planned for the Surface because just the way that they've been pushing Windows 8 out to everyone and saying, "Hey, check this out. This is going to be a tablet OS, but also your desktop OS." It's kind of like a convertible in between tablet and laptop. How cool is this? And then, so they're getting this buzz about saying, "Hey, we're going to release this in like October. You should know that." And they told us that almost half a year ago. So it's kind of been building up to this point where they announced the Surface saying, "Hey, now there's going to be this device that's perfect for this OS we've been egging you on about, trying to get in your face for the past 8 months. Check out this tablet that you could have in October when we fully release Windows 8 at the same time."
True, and I think
all planned.
Yeah, I think that will work out, but I still think it's really important. And like people say, Microsoft's aping Apple. I don't want to get into that because it's BS. But there's one thing they haven't learned is that the words "it's available today" or like "it's available next week." Telling consumers they can get their hands on a product is still really important. And don't get me wrong, I want this device. I really, really, really want a Surface. But I think it somewhat hurts their chances and it hurts their mind share to not have words on when people can get their hands on it or how much it's going to cost. And now I'm going to actually step away for like 5 minutes maximum because I am 160 points short on my fuel and I need to go like do jumping jacks and stuff to make sure I hit my goal for the day. So keep going. I will bounce right back in. So just keep at it. I'll be back in a few minutes.
All right. Well, just kind of going off of that, you know, with like the Surface not having a price point, and does it have like a release date?
No, they haven't announced when it's going to be out, but I'm pretty confident that it'll be released when Windows 8 comes out.
And when is that exactly?
I think October. Mid-October.
Well, I mean, just kind of like a side little point, and it's a little bit of a knock on Nintendo, I guess. Pretty much just don't do what Nintendo did with the Wii U. I mean, it's been a year and a half and we still don't know how much the device costs. That's a big problem. I can't get excited over something when I don't know how much it costs. Even now, like we have the release date, window of the new Nintendo console, and you know, I don't know how much it costs. There's not a lot of cool content coming for it. Not really interested. With the Surface, on the other hand, it's still really fresh and it's still really interesting. That, you know, like if it comes out in October, I don't think that's going to be hugely detrimental to the device. I think that gives a lot of like enough time to generate some buzz before it comes out, and then it kind of makes it in time for the big holiday sales and whatnot. I don't know. That's just kind of how I think.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I agree with you. I don't think they should pull a Nintendo and say, "Hey, here's this device, but we're not going to tell you." Like, you know, it could come out this year, or it could come out 5 years from now. It's a surprise.
Yeah, really.
So kind of moving on from the Surface event, I'm personally excited for it, but I don't think I'm going to buy one because if I buy a new laptop, if I'm buying an Ultrabook, I don't really need a second Ultrabook. So, however, our hands-on with it might change my mind, so I might wait until we can get our hands on it before I buy my laptop. Moving on to Windows Phone Summit that happened last Wednesday. They announced their big deals with Windows Phone and all the changes they're bringing to it, which are really they didn't announce any user experiences that they've changed. They just announced platform changes, so stuff for developers. But let me pull up our coverage of it. It's a pretty interesting event. Like, it wasn't as exciting as I.O. There weren't people jumping out of airplanes, but there was nothing wrong with it. Let's see. Looks like Alex back. Her coming back. Anyways, so their first big.
I'm back, baby.
Well, thanks for listening, guys. That's all for the TechSpce Mobile Podcast.
Shut up, Lucas. I know you're not done.
Okay, so we've moved on to the Windows Phone Summit.
Oh, okay, cool. Where are we at? Can I start? Oh, okay, good.
So I was just about to say their biggest announcement, in my opinion, and I actually predicted it when I did my Why You Should Care About Windows Phone post, if you were wondering. Their biggest announcement was a shared core between Windows 8 and Windows Phone, meaning any apps they make for Windows 8 will be directly portable to Windows Phone, infinitely growing the marketplace for Windows Phone, making their apps more relevant.
Yeah, I need to say from a developer standpoint, from an enthusiast standpoint, that's freaking awesome. I don't know exactly how to put into words like just how cool. Excuse me, I'm probably sounding a lot of breath right now. Just how cool it is that they are
combining. His breath away.
Yeah, this announcement took my breath away. It was not the 5 minutes of jumping jacks, running in place, and shadow boxing. It was for sure this. But no, still, like, that's so just amazingly cool that they've done that, especially because poor Windows Phone 7 was running on the old Windows CE core, which is just decrepit at this point. So that's a really, really, really cool update.
Hey, my Kin 2 was running on the Windows CE core, and that was a wonderful device.
For those of you who don't understand sarcasm, that was some of the best of it I've seen recently. Also, that so proves my point.
Anyways, actually, I believe the correct pronunciation is anyway, without the S. Yeah, so shared core, which is pretty cool. I'm actually really happy for that too, because I predicted it, and I don't want to toot my own horn, but I was right. Next, I'm actually going to go.
We all need to toot our own horns.
I'm going to go down the list of their 8 announcements for Windows Phone 8. Announcement number 2 was support for multi-core chips and new displays.
Yes, totally. Finally. High resolution, like 720p displays. Awesome. Because who doesn't love pixel density nowadays? Everybody does. Rhetorical question. And also, dual core and quad core. Well, I mean, we don't see any quad core mobile chipsets besides the Exynos and Samsung's Galaxy S3. Pretty sure that was the first one in a phone. But even dual core processors.
Tegra 3.
Tegra 3 was in. That's right. Okay. Technically, that one's 5 cores, even, if you want to get into it. But yeah, so.
And no.
Yeah.
Did it have a quad core? Was it the Tegra 3 or was it the quad core S4?
No, it is the Tegra 3. It's the quad core. It's the dual core S4 in the US.
That's right.
Because the Tegra 3 does not support LTE as of yet. So, but yeah, okay. So the Tegra 3 in the 1X and the quad core Exynos in the
S3
Galaxy S3. Yeah. So that's I don't think we'll see quad core Windows phones right off the bat, but even dual core phones will do a lot to make an already buttery smooth operating system just feel that much better.
Yeah, because Windows Phone is actually really nice. Their OS is, I enjoy it. It's pretty bland, but for what they have, the features are nice.
I am huge on minimalism, so yeah, I love it.
I mean, you can't do like what my friend did with just packing apps into folders and just making tons of clutter. I mean, it kind of prevents you from doing that. It's limiting, but it prevents you from destroying yourself.
It saves the user from themselves, which is which is a good thing.
However, we'll get to this. We'll get more of that later when we talk about their UI change for the home screen. Okay, so third announcement, which is kind of lame, was support for micro SD card. I mean, it's kind of something.
That is something that a long time ago. I want to sit down and talk to someone from Microsoft and be like, shake them and like, how did you mess this up the first time around? I really want to know. I really do. But yeah, so support for micro SD cards, expandable storage, finally.
Yep. Well, I guess that was part of the 3-part hardware thing. The second big announcement, part of their 8-core announcements, was IE10, which, I mean, it's IE10. It's going to have HTML5 touch features and JavaScript.
Improved rendering engine. Yeah. It's still Internet Explorer, but obviously Internet Explorer is getting better with each version, thankfully. And I think I haven't used it, but with all the stuff they talked about, I would be more than content with having that be my main phone browser.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you can always at least have it download Chrome better and faster now.
Well, yeah, when they
not on. Yeah.
Well, they will as soon as Google makes a Windows 8 app. They'll port it to Windows Phone.
Oh,
that's right.
shoot.
They can do that pretty freaking
I didn't even
easily.
think about that. Yeah. I'm just like so used to Chrome that I didn't realize that's yeah. Oh, okay, yeah.
But yeah, so yeah.
And then anti-phishing is the other thing they added with IE10 for mobile.
More saving users from themselves because the internet is just full of stupid people.
Okay, the third edition, which I'm sure Lucas will get excited about, is native code development for gaming, which is nice.
Yes.
Yes.
Especially
through DirectX.
Yeah, it's DirectX 11 support, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive, especially with native development. So we'll start to see some pretty freaking good-looking games, especially with the shared code between Windows 8 and Windows Phone 8, or shared core. So a developer releases some sort of game in the app marketplace on Windows 8, then it takes next to nothing to port it over to use touch controls if it doesn't already.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, which is, yeah. No, I'll just leave it with that. You said it well. Number 4, NFC, which kind of is another thing that should have been there when. Well, I guess it's not that new, but
maybe
old, but
it is gaining prevalence, and it's good to see Microsoft jump behind that. And their own integrated wallet experience is also probably the best one I've seen so far.
Yeah, agreed.
Because it includes, being able to punch any credit card into it and just use it for payment, or any gift card and stuff like that.
I really wish Google would do that because with my
wallet's limited to what is it, Citi MasterCards right now or some BS? Yeah.
Yep, you can only use MasterCard, and all of my cards are Visa. Thanks. The other big thing is their wallet isn't through the it's through the SIM card.
Yes, that's right. Secure SIM,
which is kind of a big deal.
Huh.
The fact that you're going to be able to pull your SIM card out, throw it into another phone, and all of your wallet capabilities are just transferred over through your SIM card.
Definitely interesting.
Yeah. Let's see. 6 is Bing Maps. Oh no, sorry,
Nokia
Maps.
Maps. Yeah, Nokia doing all of the mapping data on Windows phones now.
So we do not have enough maps.
I guess.
We would have.
Well, I mean, there is more than one.
Those cartographers.
Apparently,
making it big.
Apparently, I have the wrong major. I should have gone into cartography. But so
and offline maps with Nokia Maps. That's the other thing.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, Nokia has turn-by-turn navigation everywhere, or where Bing Maps did not have that before. Yep. So that's a nice boon for them, and it's nice that it's not Nokia exclusive because that's a really cool feature that should not have to be something that like everyone else every OEM doesn't get to use. It should be a real big selling point for Windows Phone as a whole, not just for Nokia Windows phones.
Correct. Let's see. Seventh is Enterprise, which is for someone like me who I've been heavily involved in Enterprise the last couple of years is really exciting. They're saying that they're going to allow corporations to develop apps for their company without having to go through the marketplace, which is
nice.
Which is really cool. They added BitLocker, Secure Boot, and then Office, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And then the ending, which I'm sure Alec will riff about for quite a while, is
I will.
New home screen. And I will leave you to that as I step out for just a minute.
Okay, yes, I get a rant. Awesome. I freaking hate it. I really, really do. I think Microsoft was saving users from themselves by only giving them 2 options for tile sizes, which was this 1x1 and a 2x1. Well, now they have small, medium, and large, and you can stick contacts, applications, other links into a much smaller, like a 1/4 the size of the original small-sized actual tile. So now you can have 4 tiles in the place of 1, which is great for putting more information on the screen at one time. But if you ask me, it just looks ugly as sin. Like, I just absolutely hate the way it looks. It makes it look way less cohesive. It's less organized, and it's just the tiny little tiles. Just, I don't know. I think they suck. I don't know another way to put it. I absolutely hate the fact that they redesigned the start screen. I think they should have kept it the way it was. It looked way better then. But then again, it's totally an optional thing. So if you just want to use the medium and large size tiles, stick with just using the medium and large size tiles. Which, if I get a Windows Phone, is something I'm going to do, because I cannot stand those tiny freaking tiles. Wow, that rant wasn't as long as I thought. But anyway, another thing that they didn't mention in their main points was that you'll now have the ability to enable updates that don't have to go through carrier certification first.
Oh, hey, that's nice.
Yeah, which was what really, that's what bogs down every phone's update, excluding iOS, because Apple only has, if you want to get technical, like 2 devices they have to vet for issues. But like, I remember way back when I had an HTC Surround, like a year and a half ago, that I never ever got the Mango update, even though like actually most of the devices on AT&T did, because it just didn't, like, it took them forever to get past certification. And carriers are notorious for making things wait forever in certification. They have good reason to. They want to make sure everything runs perfectly so they aren't getting yelled at by customers. But if you're more of an enthusiast or if you're a developer, you're welcome to totally bypass that. And I would do that in a heartbeat. That would be like the absolute first setting I would check off, is just let me add updates as soon as they're available. Do you have anything to add, Jake?
No, that all sounds awesome.
It's because it is. It really is.
I am pretty jazzed about it.
Because that's that's like a main reason people buy one of the Nexus devices from Google, is that you're guaranteed updates right away. Well, Microsoft is promising that for all devices. You don't have to worry about the carrier vetting process.
Because there's no skins.
Yeah. No,
it's just Windows.
Well, there's that. There's that, but even still, you can look at the Verizon Galaxy Nexus as an example of carriers still getting in the way of updates. The Verizon Galaxy Nexus, even before this Jelly Bean OTA came out, is always been lagging behind the HSPA and unlocked version of the Samsung Galaxy Nexus.
Yeah, that is true.
So carriers are full of crap. I hate U.S. cell phone carriers. I really do. And I will write a post about it at some point, but I just need to get enough hatred to make me want to sit down and have to actually think about this hatred for long enough I'm sure I'm going to need a psychiatrist by the time it's done, because I will wake up like inside of a Verizon store after sleepwalking just with it trashed or something like that. My hatred would take itself out in sleep destruction or something. I don't know.
You know, kind of going on that like whole carriers thing. My mom she just got back from London. She had this I had this interesting conversation with her, and I don't know how much she actually knows about the carriers and whatnot in London, in England, that is.
Ask. I actually do research it quite a bit.
Okay, but like I could totally be making crap up right now, but is it all what, I don't even know, like minute to like pay per minute or whatever.
Pay as you go.
There you
it's
go.
not.
Is it?
The thing is, it's not all that, but it's way, way, way more common in Europe. Is people will like here, everyone's used to spending like max $200 on a phone, like for a non-contract device. Well, most Europeans, if you do get a contract from a European provider, your phone is free, like guaranteed. Every single device is free. Because they know they're going to get like $2,000 American, roughly, from you over the next few years of your contract. So what most people do is they buy a phone at full off-contract price, whatever that is. So usually somewhere in the neighborhood of $500 or $600, and then they just buy a SIM and just go monthly, because they aren't tied down by contract. So that's not the system that they're used to like it is here. And since everyone, at least in the UK, I know for sure, is a GSM carrier. So you can just take your SIM take your phone from carrier to carrier, because your device isn't locked, because you own it. There's no contract. Or, if you have a device crap on you, well, you just swap the SIM out and put it in a new phone. So, I guess, to shorten it, no monthly, going month to month is not the only option, but it is by far the most common, because it's cheaper in the long run.
Yeah, exactly.
That's actually really interesting.
And I've researched a lot about it too, because I've wanted them to implement something like that here as at least an option to have.
It is my single biggest pipe dream.
Okay, I just got some kind of breaking news. Server connection error. Kind of breaking news that I just read somewhere that Jelly Bean will not be supporting Flash at all.
That is interesting and not totally unsuspected, actually. Considering it was, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of expected across all mobile platforms that Flash is going away in favor of HTML5. But that's kind of a good jumping off point to Google I/O, which happened the past 2 days, which is kind of a big deal. They announced
it's the business right now.
They announced a thing or two. I mean, you could say they announced a lot. But. So let's start off. What, Jelly Bean?
Well, I want to talk a little bit about the Flash thing. Just like two quick notes is that Adobe themselves, it was beginning of the year, they sent out a press release saying, we're no longer developing Flash for mobile operating systems. They're like, we don't think it's worth it. And then when Google released the first betas of Chrome for Android, it didn't support Flash, and it obviously still doesn't.
Yeah, it still doesn't.
So the world as a whole is just slowly crawling out of this giant cesspool Sarlacc pit that is Flash. And even Adobe is they're halfway up there. They've got the flag that says "Down with Flash," holding in one arm while they're trying to climb up this deep pit the other. They're not huge fans of it anymore either. So I think it's a natural progression, but it is interesting to see Google say we're totally done with it, starting with this version. Cool. But okay, let's dive into Jelly Bean as a whole.
Jelly Bean.
Okay.
Let's start off with that. It's buttery smooth, as one might say.
I would.
First off, definitely go out and read our review and watch my video because they're both excellent. You will learn a lot about Jelly Bean, is where most don't have access to it yet. We've gotten it, and it's pretty
awesome like
it's
that.
It's got some pretty nifty features. Yeah, I was up until 4 in the morning last night, getting up at 5 to go run, trying to install Jelly Bean on my device. But alas, there's some good things in it. Starting off with, like I did in the video, Project Butter.
Which, and I will explain I actually just pulled up my review, and I think that'll be good. It'll be good for the progression of this segment of the show. So let me just start off with, Project Butter is a good place to start. So the three big technical aspects of Project Butter is first that there's what Google calls triple buffering, which syncs up the GPU, the CPU, and the display, so they're all running at the exact same time, to make sure that there's never any lag in between the three. So there's never the display not reading something from the CPU, so a touch input's not coming through. They always run at the exact same speed, and so that means there's never any lag between the three, so you should never see any lag. And then the whole OS gets faster with an implementation of VSync, which is something that gamers are probably, or PC gamers are probably used to, as what's used to make sure that all parts of a game, or in this case the OS, like rendering of applications, touch events, what's actually displayed on the screen, and the display refresh itself, all run at the exact same 15 millisecond time span. So they're all completely locked in, and then all of those run at 60 frames per second, which means it feels monumentally faster, and it really, really, really does. And then the last one, and the one I find that's almost crazy and seems almost impossible, I don't know exactly how well it actually works, but Google's developed an algorithm to anticipate where your next touch is going to be on the screen. So through usage patterns, and then through, the quickest example is when you unlock your phone and go to touch in the middle to start the unlock process of sliding to the right to unlock, up for Google Now, and left for camera. It anticipates that that's where you're going to touch first, so it knows to have the input ready right there. And coming from, and I guess I never felt it on my Galaxy Nexus, but on older Android devices, there were definitely times where you come straight from an unlock, and then the phone feels sluggish as you're going through the unlock process in comparison to the rest of the OS, because it's just not prepared.
Yeah, which by far is probably the craziest and the most helpful feature they've added to Jelly Bean. The predictiveness of it is really cool.
They've hacked the human mind.
Apparently, or so they claim. But actually, that's more what the keyboard does, but we'll get into that. So it's hard to really explain exactly what butter, or how butter works. And I can talk all night about it, but you really need to see it. And in our view, there's the video that Google showed off at I/O. That is a comparison of different apps running at they have a red camera pointed at it that runs at 300 frames per second. So you can actually see the difference of how animations work and how much faster Jelly Bean is compared to Ice Cream Sandwich. It really needs to be seen.
Oh yeah, but I watched that video live, and watching it, I wasn't that impressed. I was just like, oh yeah, that's neat. It moves faster, but in actual practice, it is by far the probably my favorite update they brought to Jelly Bean. It's just how much faster the operating system as a whole runs.
I think Google Now is very cool, and we'll obviously get into it. But yeah, Project Butter is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. I should say experienced. Because you really do. I shouldn't say you have to see it to understand. You have to actually use a device to feel it. I think it puts the smoothness of iOS to shame.
And I wish I could, chime in on my experience with it a little bit, but as you all know, my phone's in the shop, so I will be giving my opinions on it soon enough.
If HTC ever releases an update, boom. Just saying.
Have they not? I don't know.
No,
my phone's not here.
The only device that has it right now is the Galaxy Nexus, and the
and that's
Nexus
only
7
if you're
tablet.
unlocked and rooted.
Yep, you have to have it unlocked and rooted in order to install it too. So, I think this really, I don't know, it's great because I'm a Nexus owner, but if I owned any other device, I would just be so pissed right now. Especially like a Galaxy S3 owner. Like, oh, I just got this awesome phone that has the latest version of Android. Well, a week later, no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And
well, they did announce that the Galaxy Nexus S and the Zoom, which I'm thankful to be a Zoom owner, will all be receiving.
That was totally unexpected, by the way, that they would receive the update. No, that they were bringing it to the Nexus S.
Oh, yeah, I completely agree.
At the same time that they're bringing it to by the way, the official update that rolls out to the Zoom, the Galaxy Nexus, and Nexus S is the time frame is mid-July. So that's really cool that they're bringing it that quickly. But also that's just one more reason. Yeah, that's really surprising. 2-year-old device that it's getting. I was surprised. I know it took them forever to get Android 4.0 ICS, and I was not surprised about that. But that, they just got 4.0, or it just got 4.0 at the beginning of the year, and now it's already going to get Jelly Bean. So it proves that it pays to be a Nexus phone owner. Yeah, far more than any other device. I mean, it just really bites that we just got Android 4.0 devices on the market, and Google has already released the preview SDK for Jelly Bean, and the full SDK I think is also supposed to be released in mid-July. Don't quote me on that, but they're churning it out so fast. I mean, it's a smaller update, so
however,
hopefully it'll get
say
implemented
that
quicker.
I don't know if you heard about their PDK that they announced. That they're
Yes,
going to be
that was
dishing
cool.
out the PDK to manufacturers. They said multiple months ahead of the announcement, but this time they were only a few weeks ahead because of the nature of the decision of bringing it to deciding that the PDK was going to be an actual thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that is going to be nice.
So,
and with the 5 Nexus devices in the fall, hopefully it'll be the big shift towards quicker updates.
yeah, I think that's something Android users have been clawing for since day one. But the development community is incredibly vibrant around Android, which is really cool. But even the guys at CyanogenMod that were notorious for cranking out updated versions of Android to all supported devices, and they have dozens of supported devices. They just released their release candidate for version 9.0 on Monday or last Saturday or something like that. So even they just got ICS released, and now Google has Jelly Bean staring them in the eye. So it's interesting to see how the development community will react to.
The thing about Ice Cream Sandwich, though, that I think people aren't quite considering is that it's such a drastic change from gingerbread, and
very true.
I believe that's the biggest reason why companies like CyanogenMod had to take so long. Jelly Bean is a lot more incremental and is actually very much the same as ICS. So I don't anticipate them having nearly as hard of a time cranking this one out.
No.
And devices launching with Ice Cream Sandwich should be able to be updated rather quickly, bearing any skin, touch whizzifying and blurring that companies need to do.
Yeah, so I do think it'll be much quicker. I think anything will be much quicker than the time it took ICS devices to get to market. But like you said, it's a huge change from gingerbread to ICS, where it's such a small incremental change to
Jelly Bean.
Bloody hell. Yes, to Jelly Bean. So yeah, we'll see faster updates. But let's get back into Jelly Bean features. So the next thing is the camera, which there was one update, but it's actually a really useful update of the ability to just start, and I think this was in Windows Phone if I remember right, that you can just swipe to the right once you're in the camera to start scrolling through your gallery, which is handy because it's just quicker. It's nice. It's not a huge improvement, but it used to be like a 2 or 3 step process to, if you were in your camera, to actually get to the gallery.
Yeah, you had to tap the picture, and then you had to tap the gallery icon to actually get to the picture you just took.
Yeah. So
if
it's
only,
annoying.
if only they could, somehow add a button to the One X that would allow you to just instantly, have the camera. Because I had a couple instances where I needed to record some video, take a couple photos, but was just moments too late.
Yeah.
Each time, because I had to go through the software rather than having a button. But it's too bad you can't, update with a button.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to mourn the loss of hardware camera buttons on phones quite yet, because there are still phones that will have them, but it does seem like it's a trend that's going away, and that actually kind of sucks, in my opinion.
Well, one of the things I noticed, though, with Jelly Bean and the camera update is how much better the autofocus is. Because I had a heck of a time with my Galaxy Nexus on ICS taking pictures, because I'd have to sit there, I'd have to tap the screen, wait for it to autofocus, and then I'd hit the shutter button, and then it would autofocus again. And it was a horrible experience. But this time around, taking pictures with Jelly Bean is I can actually take a picture after it's autofocused. It is so much faster, and it's ridiculous.
Well, that is faster. I'm just messing around with it right now. I hadn't even noticed that before.
That was the biggest thing I noticed with the camera, along with the pinch to collapse into your little photo stream view. I don't know if you noticed that too, Alec, but you can...
Yeah.
If you're in a gallery, you can pinch together, and it'll pull this nice little photo stream where you can quickly swipe through all your photos, and then if you see one you don't want anymore, you can do exactly like you do with notifications and throw them off the page and delete them, which is really nice.
But
if you get too crazy with it, you can accidentally delete a picture because they only allow you to undo one delete.
Yeah. And it's still, like I think it should be mentioned, that the Galaxy Nexus, at least, and the One X did too when I tried it, is that they take photos at just stupid speed. Like, that's another thing that has to be experienced. Like, you have to really see just how quickly it actually snaps a picture.
Well, and another thing I noticed with Jelly Bean, the update, is from the lock screen, unlocking to the camera is way faster than it was with the ice cream sandwich. Even after the update that they pushed out, the 0.04 that they pushed out that was supposed to make the camera a lot faster to reach from the lock screen, it's even faster than that, which is outstanding.
Really the general theme in Jelly Bean is just it's buttery smooth. It's gonna get hyperbolic at some point saying that, but yeah.
Maybe they should have renamed Jelly Bean to Butter.
That is, I'm going to come to Omaha and wait, what time do you work tomorrow?
9
p.m. or a.m.?
a.m.
Till when?
2
o'clock? Well, guess what, motherfucker? I'm coming in at 1:30, ordering a sandwich and slapping you in the face.
So in the time
I'm not kidding.
In the time it took you to have that conversation, I took 14 pictures, looked at them all, and deleted them all on my Galaxy Nexus running, which I have to say is impressive.
That's very impressive. That's awesome.
That's why we had that conversation. That's actually why we did that. That was all planned.
It wasn't because I like yelling at Lucas. Well, I mean, partially it was, but yeah, it was planned. Okay, so let's move on. The keyboard. So the keyboard in Jelly Bean looks exactly the same as it does in ICS, except it hides a predictive text feature, which is something that SwiftKey, that was always their big selling point, and then Swipe actually added in their latest beta update. And only having the update for 2 days makes it hard to say that it works well, because the whole thing is it learns your typing habits and it learns the sentences you form. But if it's half as good as SwiftKey was, then it's going to be amazing. Because I did use SwiftKey for quite a while, and I was, several times I was able to type out a full message without ever actually typing. Like, I just started punching in the predictive guesses, and it could get a full message. And I had it do a full sentence for me once already, which was cool. But I know people who are big privacy freaks will be disturbed by that the phone actually it doesn't key log you, but it just learns from the way you type in every single application to start to guess your normal patterns, which I don't know. It's actually kind of depressing because it makes me sound predictable, but whatever. And then there's also the introduction of offline voice dictation. So you have the option of downloading the language pack for whatever language you speak and being able to dictate words without having to be connected to the internet, which is really cool when you consider that that used to be something that, a whole server blade handled for you. Excuse me. And now it's something that your phone can do.
And it's like 15 meg, the size of the file.
Yeah, it's a really small file too.
Crazy.
I don't know how they do it. I really want to work at Google, like seriously, and just once again, I want to shake an engineer and say, "How did you do this?" It's just such a cool thing.
Honestly, watching the I/O event live, that was probably the announcement that got the biggest applause and like shock and awe factor was the fact that there was offline voice typing, which is crazy. That is unbelievable.
Yeah, because voice dictation is.
Believe it.
Shut up, Lucas. That's because you don't understand the technical ramifications behind it. But it's something that every other device had. I mean, iOS has had it since like version 3. Windows Phone had it from day one. Android's had it since Eclair back in 08 or whatever. No, wait, 09 maybe. So, like, it's something always possible, but no one ever thought about, I need a data connection, because in the world we live in, you pretty much always have a data connection. Well, now you don't even need that. And the fact that it's a 15 megabyte file is just like, it blows my mind. Because I know that that's something that was difficult to do with a room full of servers, and now they're throwing it on a phone, it works just as well.
They're putting all of the servers into 15 megabytes.
That's pretty much what it seems like at this point. Okay, so do you have anything else you want to add about it, Jake? Do you want to delve into the UI enhancements?
I was just going to comment on it was kind of a bold prediction, but I'm expecting them to be able to have a zip file of the internet someday.
It seems like they're making their way towards that. If they can get voice dictation like this in a 15 meg file, we'll see the internet in a, like, I don't know, like probably like a 2 terabyte zip, but something.
I'll just be cool if they can get all of the porn and kittens into one zip file.
They say like 40% of the internet is porn. So what you're really telling me is that I haven't seen like 58% of the internet, which is bullshit. But but still, okay. So into the UI enhancements. So like we said, very little changed aesthetically from 4.1 to 4.0. There is a bunch of really cool subtle animations for when you transfer like between apps and between the home screen and the app drawer, and there's a cool I don't know, like a sort of zoom in-ish animation when you go from the multitasking tray into an application. It's little things, but it just makes the whole OS look prettier and more cohesive.
Well, the biggest thing I noticed with those animations is that it's pulling up the app pre-rendered in those little zoom animations.
Yeah, so they're ready to go.
Yeah, it's so like when I think I showed it off a little bit in my video. When you tap on an app, it'll has like this transparent looking zoom in effect. But if you look carefully enough, like I was showing it with, I think, Google Chrome, you can actually see Google Chrome before it even opens. Like it's insane. It's just pulling it up pre-rendered.
Yeah, for those of you who don't really understand that, it's actually something that's really prevalent in iOS. Is that when you multitask, when you open up an application, you see it pop open right away. What it's actually showing you is an image of your last point you used, not the app pre-rendered and ready to go. So there's, even if it's just a second or two lag where it's like, I just opened it. It usually is ready before you touch the screen. Sometimes it's not. But, yeah, Google's pulling up these apps already pre-rendered and already ready to go. So you can start tapping and, or just doing whatever you want right away.
I had been doing a video. Sorry, Lucas, but I was recording my review of it, and I was going to include it in it, but I decided that it was a little bit of a privacy thing. I was pulling up my messaging app, and I was showing it off where I had a message unread and opening up the messaging app. And if you look at the transparent picture of it before it actually gets there, the unread message is in it. So before the app even opens up, your message is already pre-rendered into your experience, which it just blows me away. You can go now, Lucas.
No, like when you apologized for interrupting me, I was about to just finish by saying, don't apologize. Please feel free to interrupt me whenever, because I literally
So, Alec,
have...
what should we talk about?
Okay, so let's go into the notification redesign.
I was being funny because Lucas was talking.
Well, still, let's
on that.
ignore Lucas and go into the notifications.
Hold on. Did you have something relevant to say, Lucas? Because if you did, I want to hear it.
Oh, no, not in that instant. I'm kind of going to save it towards the end.
Okay. All right, then. Notifications.
Okay, so Google sort of simplified the whole look of the notification pull down, and I really, really like it in comparison. Not that the old one was ugly or anything; it looked good too. But the new one just feels a whole lot more cohesive. Like, they got rid of being able to see the status bar when you put on notifications, because there was no use to that, because the only thing in the status bar is your notifications, and you're already looking at it when you pull them down. But there's also things like your top notification has this new expanded view. So if you've got an email, it can show you, a good chunk of the start of the email. Well, what you can do with any notification, whether it's the top or any of the others, is take two fingers and either scroll up to close that expanded view or down to expand one that's not expanded. And so far, it works in messaging and email, and I saw it work when I did screenshot uploads. I was able to actually click share when I dragged down to share a screenshot straight from the notification panel, which was really cool to me.
It also works with missed calls.
Yeah. Missed calls as well.
Missed calls, you can call someone back, and it works with Google Plus, where if you have a Google Plus notification, you can pull that open and see whatever that notification is.
It works with calendar events too, because you can pull down, and actually they have now canned responses. So say you're going to be running late, you can pull down and tap whatever the little icon looks like, I forget, to respond to everyone at that meeting. If it's made with Google Calendar and they're all listed as guests, their emails will be linked to it. So you can send start without me or wait 5 minutes. I like some of the options, so people know you're going to be late. Since you're already in a rush, you don't have time to shoot out an email or make a phone call. Just drag down, press 2 buttons, and you're good to go. Or 2 taps, you're good to go. So, and we mentioned, it's the only apps we mentioned that have the expanded view are Google apps, and that's because obviously they're the only ones that have it implemented so far. With the SDK or preview SDK just being released or not being released till July, we probably won't see anybody else with that feature until then. But I can see it coming up for Twitter apps and Facebook. I think social networking or any sort of messaging or communication will benefit most from that. Or I could see Spotify or Google Music using double fingers to open up controls. I think they what did they show? I think they showed TuneIn Radio that had that you would double, or use 2 fingers swipe down, and you can favorite a track or skip a track, things like that. So I think that'd be really cool for music apps as well.
I also see Groupon, things like that, or OpenTable, or OpenTable would be really cool. Having a notification pushed down to you and be able to open it up to check on your reservation.
See your that would be good too. So there's a lot of great places they can go with it. It's really cool.
They also added a direct to settings button in the notification center. I don't know if you noticed that.
That was actually there before.
Was it really?
And it was. It was right next to It was right. I don't know. I used it often because I'm weird like that. But it was right there next to the date before. It's right next to the date and time in Jelly Bean, so it's convenient.
Yeah, I do like the new look to where they put the date and time in.
Yeah, bigger lettering and all that. It looks really cool. All right, so anything else to add? Because I kind of want to get into Google Now.
No, I think that's it.
Okay, so this is, besides Project Butter, which was like the, more of the enthusiast and geeks favorite thing, I think the biggest thing that people are going to talk about is, we just lost Jake? Okay.
It says he joined the Hangout.
I know, that's weird. Let's see. We'll see. I'll continue talking. Hopefully we can get him back in. But, okay, so the biggest consumer thing was Google Now, which is, in a sense, Google's Siri competitor, but it actually does as much, if not more, straight out of the gate than Siri ever did. It's not an AI like Siri is. It's just, it learns your habits and your usages to give you different results. And there's all these things you can look up. You can search sports scores. You can use it to send messages. You can look up people. Like you can ask, what movies has Jessica Alba been in recently? And it will pull up this special little card that has a picture of her beautiful face, just saying. And also, it'll tell you the recent movie she has, just in plain text. But it can do so much more. Like, one of my favorite features was the ability to, like, I told it I wanted to listen to music. I said, play music by We Were Promised Jetpacks, which is an awesome band with an awesome name, just by the way, just saying. And it actually pulled up saying, do you want to listen to this in Google, or the Play Music app, or Spotify? So, having a Spotify subscription, I selected Spotify, and it starts playing music by We Were Promised Jetpacks, which I thought was really, really cool, because it shows that it can interface with applications that are not directly made to work with Google Now. That's something that was really cool, and it obviously, yeah, we noticed. I just thought it was probably best to keep forging on, but I went a little bit general overview, but
I just wanted
feel
to
free to say
see
anything.
what else you would. Well, I don't know what you've already talked about. I don't want to do any repeats.
Oh. Okay.
Well, we didn't get a touch on how it's a little bit disappointing that you can't ask or propose sex jokes to the Google Now like you can to Siri.
It does give you audio responses to questions, obviously, but yeah, it does. Sadly, it does not have funny little quips or jokes when you ask it certain things. If you ask it, what's the best smartphone ever made, or I need to hide a body, it will not give you the nearest stone quarry or things like that. Which is all right with me. Those things were fun to show off for Siri, but that's all they ever were party tricks. And anyhow, I think I guess what's the coolest thing about it, or some of the other cooler things about it, is I can ask it, I need driving directions to the nearest movie theater. Jake, I think I'm getting a lot of static from you right now.
I think it's his breath.
I think it is. Can he hear us?
Yeah,
I don't think he can hear it. Okay. All right, there we go. That's way better. Okay, so back to what I was saying was you can ask it where's the nearest movie theater. You can ask it movie showtimes just like you can Siri. But they also have, and just like Apple's going to implement in iOS 6 with Siri, is I can ask, what's a good Chinese restaurant nearby? And it'll pop up a list, and if I select one, if it's fancy enough to require needing a reservation, I can use OpenTable for reservations. They also have Google purchased Zagat, which does like city and restaurant surveys. They were kind of a big-ish name, they are like the biggest name in that. So you get Zagat information about where you're going to eat, or whatever coffee shop you're going to. And there's not a whole lot of it for Lincoln, where I live, but I imagine in bigger cities you would obviously get far more information. I searched some places in Omaha and got Zagat information where I did not get it for restaurants and shops in Lincoln. But you can also do things like ask it sports scores and stuff like that. This is all like stuff Apple showed off at WWDC with Siri. A lot of it overlaps, but the thing is that Google has it right now, and Siri won't have it until fall. So people can say they're copying Apple, but they're actually starting out ahead of the game with this. And voice actions as a whole, which is just general voice search without these cool little cards in it, has been around in Google since version 2.0 or version 2.1. I'm not entirely sure which two it was, but the biggest thing, and this is the thing that privacy freaks will also go crazy over, is that depending on your searches and things like that, and patterns in usage, it'll learn and show cards to you. So if you look up the weather a lot, when you open up Google Now, it's going to show you one of the cards as the weather. Or if you're a big Yankees fan and ask about their scores a lot, it's going to have the latest Yankee game score. It can also do things like if you're going to work, then you use your maps to go to a new job, and then do it when you come home. It'll start to learn, hey, this is when the owner goes to work, this is when the owner comes home, and it can give you traffic updates. So say there is an issue, like there's a crash, sadly, whatever, this is a hypothetical, going on for on your normal route home, then by the time you open up Google Now, it will already have another route ready for you saying, hey, here's this traffic jam, here's another route to make sure you still get home on time. And I know some people will be scared that Google learns about you, but it's a really cool feature. You're fully welcome to opt out of using it. It's just as easy to say, yes, I want these things, as it is to say, no, I don't. I think it's a really cool feature. Google Now, just like Siri, is sort of a bit of a parlor trick, but it is convenient, and it looks really, really nice design-wise. I guess
the thing I noticed while using it, it's not only like traffic. They've added a whole bunch of stuff with Google Search too, so it'll track all of your previous Google searches, and it'll know that, hey, you've researched the New England Patriots a lot, and you've searched for them quite a bit. We can tell you're a fan. Let me show you.
Terrible
before you
team,
even
just
ask
saying.
for it.
But
whoa there.
We'll get into this later. Giants all the way,
they'll-
but just saying. No. Okay.
Google Now will throw up a little.
Lions.
That's just sad.
But yeah, Google Now will throw
Okay,
up a little
Jake.
blurb saying, "Hey, we noticed you like the Patriots. Here's their next game, or you can buy tickets at this website." It'll also it'll rummage through your calendar, Gmail, messaging, everything that Google has access to. It'll compile it together and continue to grow and build this database of you that it'll dip from to help you out in your daily life. And I don't know if you noticed this, Alec, in your use of Google Now, but all of the cards or at least most of the cards were based off of Wikipedia rather than Siri's Wolfram Alpha, which I thought was interesting.
Yes, I did notice that.
That it was pulled from Wikipedia. I did I did the find restaurants nearby me thing, and I liked how it pulled up in maps, where it'll have your little pin drops with A, B, C, D of closest or best nearby you, which I thought was it looked really nice.
Mm-hmm. It's cool that Siri sort of helped pioneer was the idea of using just natural speaking to do searches and queries and stuff like that. That's cool. But you mentioned Wolfram Alpha, and that's another thing I noticed is that when you do unit conversions, or if you ask what time is it where, or things like that, it'll use Google's calculations and not Wolfram's also. So
and
if I need to know the square root of 72, it can do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if you noticed this, but if you do currency exchange, there's a disclaimer on it, and I don't know if I showed this on my review because I did so many of them because they were all so bad. I had to redo it multiple times. But I'm pretty sure on one of them I said convert US dollars to euro, and I noticed that it puts down a little disclaimer. And when you tap on the disclaimer, it takes you to a Google page, and it says, yeah, we can't guarantee the accuracy of our currency exchange. And I thought that was humorous.
It's because it is funny, but it makes sense because the actual exchange rates for currencies change at almost any hour because of the different times that stock markets run and stuff markets are open. But yeah, that is a little funny. That's just so you know, it's technically off by a cent or two every once in a while. But yeah,
The
that's
thing-
no big deal. But
Yeah, exactly. But the thing I liked the most about Google Now compared to Siri in my uses of both, not only does it give you a card, but it also throws in a Google search underneath it, which I think is tremendous because you could be looking for something, or like even I think in my video I said how old is Betty White, and it throws up a little card with Betty White's age, and then as you scroll down it has all of these like the IMDb page for Betty White, so you like, just stuff like that. It expands the amount of knowledge you can have on something or access to.
We're Siri is just this one quick answer. Google gives you the option of saying, okay, so I searched Jessica Alba. Well, what if I want to know other subreddits? Like, what movie is she working on now? Well, just, flick up, and there's the... shut up, Lucas, we're not getting into that. But you can search, pull up her IMDb, because it's right there beneath the card that comes up, and immediately find that out. It is way more convenient.
Well, I think the biggest thing, too, is as they expand their knowledge graph, which, by the way, is my most anticipated thing from Google, aside from Project Glass, is their knowledge graph. Because they were showing off some of the things with, like, you can search for Ernest Hemingway, and through Google search, and on the side it'll pull up other artists or writers or people of that time era in time. And I'm anticipating them throwing stuff like that into Google Now as the knowledge graph expands, and I'm really excited to see where they take that.
Yeah, I think obviously Google has some of the biggest server farms in the world, so they have a lot of awesome computational power, and it's going to be really cool to see them to put it to use in projects like that.
By the way, I don't know if you touched on this at all with voice search, but the fact that I don't think anyone really caught this, but if you're going and you're using like voice typing, it actually understands in context now what you're talking about. They were showing it off when they were demoing it at I/O. He had said something like, "I'm using voice typing offline rather than through data," and instead of through, it thought he said new, and so as it was filling it out word by word, it put in new, but when he finished the sentence, it changed to through because it realized, hey, new doesn't make sense in context, and that's something that is just
that
incredible.
Is very, very cool.
And I noticed it actually in action when I was using my voice typing, that it was fixing my where it's compensating for the fact that it's not very good yet at understanding all of your words. And it does. That's another thing is that learns your speech patterns too. Yes, and I did enable that because I'm looking forward to seeing how well it learns my speech mannerisms.
Mm-hmm.
Because I say roof instead of roof, and I say crick instead of creek, and I'm looking forward to seeing if they catch that.
I'm wondering if it'll be able to count how many times I say like or
Yes, I was waiting for you to say that. Or how many times you say literally.
Literally.
Speaking of, I don't know if any of you guys watch So You Think You Can Dance, but last night it was on, and Zooey Deschanel was a guest host, and she said incredible, 20 times in the episode. Because, I don't know, she was speaking in her normal New Girl-esque ways and very...
Zooey Deschanel.
But, yes,
Googling.
going back on...
It didn't understand Zooey Deschanel when I was searching for her earlier, by the way. It split Deschanel.
Yeah, it didn't. It got Zoe, but it did not get Deschanel, sadly.
They should fix that.
I'll figure it out eventually.
That's someone
I'll get on the horn.
Anyway.
So, sum up of Jelly Bean? Or of, yeah.
Oh yeah, we haven't even gotten to
it's
the next
freaking
7.
Awesome. Oh yeah, we have it. So yeah, okay, let's sum Jelly Bean quick.
Just like the one thing I wanted to get to after, I'll get to it after you guys do the little sum up.
Okay, so Jelly Bean, freaking awesome. If you don't have a Nexus device, I'm sorry that you're going to have to wait. I don't know however long it's going to be. However long it is too long. Feel free to hate me. Feel free to hate Jake. I don't know that I can speak for him, but really, I know it's not fair.
Feel free to hate me, because I have it already, and I'm laughing at anyone who doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, because there are so many devices that don't even have ice cream sandwich now, and then there are manufacturers just going, no! Or, just throwing their hats in the dirt or biting their own fingers. It's just like, how are we supposed to do this now?
Throwing their bitten off fingers into the dirt.
That's slightly more graphic than I meant to get, but thank you, Lucas. That's probably what you're here for. Yeah, okay, that's my wrap up. It's easily the best version of Android yet.
Well,
I would
in
hope
any case, my 2 cents on all this are, when you did the review of the One X, your biggest gripe was ultimately Sense 4.0 and
the speed of it itself. Yeah.
Yeah. I've not been I'm kind of a virgin smartphone user, and my experience with Sense 4.0 hasn't really been, an unpleasant experience. I don't really notice a lot of the things that rub people the wrong way, but I will say that Jelly Bean looks freaking cool, and I'm definitely going to be switching to, stock Android just so I can try it out when, I get my phone back.
We will root that mother the second you get it.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely got me excited because there's a lot of really cool little touches that go along with it. And particularly butter with.
You'll have to watch my review. You'll have to watch my review to get the full experience of it, because I felt I hit a lot of the topics. The only things I really didn't get to cover were the keyboard and the camera. I think those are the only two I didn't cover in my review, the video review at least.
But I guess I have to say quickly, Lucas, it's good that Jelly Bean came out now, because if I'd gone from my phone with Jelly Bean to your phone with Sense, I probably would have chucked it at a wall, in comparison. I'm not saying Sense was terribly slow, but there's definitely times it lagged more than I'd ever experienced. Just because I'm used to a stock device, I think is the reason why I noticed it way more. I don't think general consumer would notice it or care much. But yeah, if I had gone from Jelly Bean to Sense 4 on ICS, I would have broken that thing in a minute.
Looks like I beat you to it, though.
I still think even skin devices will. I still think skin devices will benefit immensely from Project Butter. So even skins like TouchWiz and Sense will feel immensely faster once they get Butter running them. Alright, so let's get into the Nexus S, because it's getting a wee bit late. Nexus 7. Damn it, why did I say dark S? Outside. It's been dark outside since long before we started this, Lucas.
Oh, I don't have any windows in my house.
I'm not surprised. It is a Russian... It's a Russian dungeon.
No, just regular dungeon.
So, Nexus 7 is... I'm torn, because I think it looks really cool, and internals, spec-wise, even to say the least, is very impressive for the price point they're putting at. But it's a 7-inch tablet, and I'm not a 7-inch tablet kind of guy. I mean, I have a smartphone, and bump it up 3 more inches, and it's a 7-inch tablet. So, I don't know.
2.5 actually, because it's 4.6-inch screen.
You're right. So, I mean, it's not that big of a deal for me. But regardless, it's a 1280 by 800 IPS display, Tegra 3 gig of RAM. It's pretty much your minimum specs at this point for a top-notch tablet.
Not that they aren't solid specs, but yeah, it's almost run of the mill at this point.
Yeah, it's Asus, so it's basically along the same lines as their Transformers. Mm-hmm. As far as specs go. Yeah, go ahead.
The other one thing for me that nobody seems to have touched on is that the Nexus 7 is not running the tablet version of Android. It's running a blown-up version of, I guess in this case, Jelly Bean, but of what it's running the phone OS. And I thought that was really weird. I know, like we said, 7 inches is not that much bigger, but it's still a tablet device. It just seems really weird that I hope it's not indicative of all Google device or tablets that get Jelly Bean will run an enlarged version of the interface. And for those of you who haven't seen it, think of it. It's literally exactly how iOS on an iPad and iOS on an iPhone are the same. Just the the iPad version is a blown-up version of it. And even has the same thing where the notification pull-down does not cover the whole screen. It covers, this rectangle inside of it, just like it does in iOS. And I really hope it's not indicative of all future Android tablets. I don't think it is. But I think it's weird that Google somehow thinks this device is, well, I guess it is closer to a phone than it is a tablet. But their design itself makes it really seem that way.
Well, one thing I think they should do at some point, if it not in this version, their next is, if it is a 7 or even any tablet size, it should be when you rotate it from portrait to landscape that it switches to like the tablet mode. Because I honestly think that in portrait, the phone version is much better optimized for my use. Like, I would much rather use the phone version in portrait mode. However, in landscape mode, they should switch it so it moves your notification center down to the bottom right, like in classic Android tablets.
Yeah, that would make sense. I'm not entirely sure from a development standpoint how easy it would be to make sure that works fluidly. I think it could be done. But yeah, I think at least in a 7-inch form factor, that's probably the best way to do it.
They've worked miracles before.
True that. They have been working miracles with Android recently.
But yeah,
I think no,
interrupt Lucas. Interrupt Lucas.
I think that the
interrupting cow. What?
Nexus 7 looks pretty cool.
So they did announce that it's going to have a 12
was exactly
GPU.
how big the.
Yeah, you think they would have pegged that, but.
Are you going to continue, Lucas?
Just screen size. The Nexus 7, it sounded really cool. I didn't actually know, how big the screen was. So knowing that, it's not, super big, that's kind of, I don't know, hampered my anticipation for it a little bit. I've got the 1X, which is a big phone already and it has a large screen. I don't know if I need something that's just, only incrementally larger. So, we'll see. Maybe they'll put out a larger version later.
Like
so I'm going to keep my eye on it. But
yeah,
exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I think the 7-inch form factor has its place in the realm of tablets, but I don't know. It just doesn't seem, for me personally, I guess it's the consensus for all of us that it does not seem, like it's the right size or the size that we want in our only tablet.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of tech writers that have been talking about screen resolutions as well, and it never really occurred to me before, but it's in my year and a half of owning my Zoom, 16:9 isn't a good screen ratio for tablets if it's a 10-inch tablet, because it's either too wide or too tall that it doesn't work well. I think that in one facet, the iPad has gotten down. Their 4:3 screen ratio is perfect for a tablet. And Lenovo actually just pushed out a 4:3 10-inch tablet, which is pretty intriguing. And I think that if Google is smart, they'll do like a Nexus 10, but it'll be a 4:3 aspect ratio.
Yeah, I think Apple kind of showcased with back when they announced the iPad that 4:3 resolution is best for tablets, because being able to hold it any direction and you get the same image is really important. I think it makes it look that much better. And you're right, just like 16:9, or I even think 16:10 still would just be too tall, or either too skinny or too tall. But I guess,
and going back to the 7-inch you were talking about, 7-inch has its place, but I don't think in the tablet realm. I think 7-inch should be reserved for e-ink displays.
Okay, that's interesting, and I can agree with that. And that's I think what they mentioned on Says is that like the Nexus 7 weighs just as much at 0.75 pounds. It weighs like just as much as a hardcover book. And you can look at the way it's designed and its $200 price point and its size, that it's meant to directly compete with the Kindle Fires of the world and not the iPads.
Quick question. How big is the Galaxy Note?
5.3 inches.
Oh.
5.5. Shit. It's too big for my enormous hands, I can tell you that much.
Yeah. No, because I'm just trying to get like a mental image. I don't know. Because
it's not quite big enough. I mean, that's probably the best way to put it. It's just not quite right.
I
actually think
awkward size. I think between that.
I think Samsung's 8.9 inch is the perfect size. Honestly, I think that's a great size. Yeah,
I've never actually held that size of tablet, but I actually think like was iPad like 9-inch and 8.9 inch, or like within that area is probably the ideal. Yeah.
I don't know. Is there anything else to say about the Nexus 7?
No, I think the price point's really interesting. Is that they've kept it this low. I know they've said they're selling it at cost, which is means that they are like making almost no profit off of it based on how much it costs to manufacture. Actually, speaking of that, I guess I want to just touch on the Nexus Q.
That's exciting stuff, actually.
The fact that it's manufactured in the United States. Oh,
sorry, I was just gonna interject at the.
I almost gave up the ghost, but yeah. The
Galaxy Note is 5.3. You are correct.
Okay.
I just wanted to let you know.
Right. Suck it. No. Okay. So the Nexus Q. It's actually kind of an unremarkable device, especially when its price point is $300. But the important thing to take away from it is that it's manufactured in the United States. Like everything about it is built in the U.S. Nothing's outsourced to China or India or anything like that. So I swear, I wish I had the money, because if I did, I swear to God, I would buy one off principle. Like, it's really cool that they're making it in the United States. It's not being sent anywhere else, and it's not just like a nationalism or a patriotism thing for me. It's even though conditions in most of the factories that produce computer components are better than where you can work in the majority of China if you're uneducated, and also pay more, it's still horrible as far as any other country's humane standards go. So it's really, it's an unremarkable device because all it does is stream music from other Android devices. It's a headless unit. It doesn't. It technically runs Android, but you can't plug it in to your TV and use it as like a Google TV device. It just plays songs and videos from other Android devices. But it is extremely hackable. That was something they pointed out. So I'm sure developers will get their hands on it and port Google TV or port a full version of Android to it. But yeah, as it stands, it's such an unremarkable device, despite the fact, the only differentiator is that it's made in the USA.
Kind of going off of that, I'm pretty sure Apple's been kind of non-committally saying, we someday hope to start manufacturing, at least to some level, in the United States again. it kind of feels like the way Google did this with the Nexus Q is almost like not quite like a up yours to Apple, but
just one-upsmanship. Yeah,
exactly.
I think that's all I don't know, Jake. Unless you say something, I don't have anything else to add about the Nexus Q because, like I said, it's a pretty unremarkable device.
Yeah, it doesn't really do much as of yet. I mean, it runs Android, is what they've said, but
it does extremely little for how much it costs.
Exactly. Yeah, there's really not much else to talk about Nexus Q. The only other thing I really have to talk about is Project Glass because I'm the biggest Project Glass fanboy in the entire world, and I wish so much that
it's
was
so
in San
freaking
Francisco
cool.
right now. I want to be in San Francisco right now so I could
pre-order. I swear to God, I said it last year, and I say it this year, and I will probably say it every year until I get the actual chance to go. But crap, I should have been at I/O this year. Because, last year they gave out freaking, I think they gave out Google TV and a Nexus S. This year they gave out Nexus 7, Galaxy Nexus, Nexus Q, and a Chrome box to everybody that showed up. Like, they have the best giveaways of any conference ever.
It's like the Oprah Winfrey show.
Dude, Oprah Winfrey wishes she could do shit this cool. But
she wishes she was as cool as Google.
Yes, she does. And Oprah's pretty BA, so that's communication. But yeah, the demos they showed for Glass, the whole freaking skydiving and BMX biking, backflipping over buildings and rappelling down buildings and riding bikes into the conference room, that was freaking crazy.
Yeah, it was so cool. That is definitely... I'm still bummed that all they've been able to demo is pictures and video, but still, the way they showed it off was unbelievable. Like, I don't know. And the best part was Sergey Brin coming out before they even did it and said, "Yeah, I don't think this is going to work. The demo is not going to run as." I even think he said it's not going to run as buttery smooth as some of the other announcements have.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I have high hopes for it. And I know I will be buying one as soon as they are available. And from what I hear, it's going to be 2014.
Yeah, that was when they plan on having it out to consumers. Which, that's not a horrible time frame. That's a year and a half from now.
For something
I think that I could have a...
Yeah, for something that's such a prototype idea.
That's like, it's literally the future in one device. Like, this is...
Like playing Watch Dogs in real life.
Yeah, it's fulfilling all of my dreams of having the energy scanners from Dragon Ball Z when I was a child literally on my face.
It's over 9,000.
I will, the second I get mine, for the next week straight, I will just walk around saying it's over 9,000. I won't actually crush it in my hand, but I will just scream it's over 9,000 at everyone I see.
That's going to be the first dev creation is going to be a scanner that works like
people's
that.
Energy levels.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just a random algorithm
what's his energy level? And then you look over. It's like an old lady. Oh my God!
It's over
9,000.
Oh wait, no, that's just age. Crap.
Yeah. I think we should have like a bet to see what's going to happen first. The Steam box or the release of the
Google
Project Glass.
Oh,
Google Glass.
Glass easy.
Is it? Yeah.
Project Glass will come out
Glass.
with the Steam box.
I don't know, man. You never know.
Hedge your bets right here, right now. I'll put my money on Glass.
The smart bet's Glass, but hey,
Lucas has never been one for the smart bet.
Oh,
exactly.
Oh, this is something mobile related that we didn't touch on. That was kind of released at E3. Smart Glass, Microsoft. That's something.
Speak of the devil.
Chat about.
Yeah.
Really awesome, and I can't wait. And I'm unbelievably jazzed about it.
I think it makes the console which shall not be named look just sort of ridiculous, and its tablet-ish accessory seem ridiculous.
The fact that they've already matched the level of what the console that shall not be named can do, aside from like Zombie U. Aside from that level of gameplay, they matched it. They said, hey, we're going to do exactly what you can do on your fancy little gamepad, but we're going to let everyone have it on their current devices.
I mean, there are some slight tweaks. I mean, it's kind of... the one thing with the console that shall not be named, you've got the controller analogs right there and the buttons right on the screen handheld. But when you've got like an Android device, or I mean any mobile device, you don't have like a lot of the other buttons and whatnot to interact with it immediately. So if you're in something like you can't do something that's a lot more actiony, it's going to be a lot more pause and play. I mean, the things that they showed off are going to be far and away like their most prominent functions, like the way they demoed how you can kind of change a play with Madden or NCAA. I mean, that stuff's definitely cool, although I'm definitely holding reservations because I love hearing like the promises of tech and whatnot, but when it's something that's, I don't know, I can't exactly see like something really, really like a major change coming out of it as far as like a gameplay standpoint. I don't really hold my breath. I mean,
well,
Kinect was a little bit of a...
I was going to say, did you see the demo they showed with, I think, the game Ascend? They were showing... They had their Windows phone, running the Smart Glass app, and they were sitting there playing through, and they entered a cave. And when they entered the cave, on your phone, the map shows up. So you can be sitting there following the map on, like, while you're playing the game on your phone. So it takes away that UI, that HUD element from the game, clearing it up a bit. And then they also showed as you're walking through, there was a boss, like shortly after the cave once you got out, and before you got to the boss, it popped up on your phone saying, "Whoa, hey, there's a boss coming up. Here's its stats. Do you think you can face it right now, or should you turn around and go train some more?" And that's really cool. Like, that's a practical use.
That's true. But one thing that I just thought of is, I do find it a little bit cumbersome to go from looking at the screen to having to look down into my lap to see my iPad or any sort of tablet or phone to check a sort of map sort of thing. But one thing that I thought was interesting, and I think this is where there's some really cool implications in the future, is having like a game HUD on like Google's Glass, like Project Glass.
That would
like
be
having
sick.
the HUD actually like...
That'd be sweet.
I just thought of that, but that's a really cool future implication that would be really interesting to see people integrate that sort of stuff.
Okay, I want to interject one thing. You guys are focusing on the gaming side of Smart Glass, which you didn't touch on. What I saw as the coolest thing from it was use with entertainment. So the demo I looked at more than once was them showcasing an episode of Game of Thrones. And what they had on the tablet while you're watching this episode of Game of Thrones was... they had a map. It's like, oh, here's where they are currently in the show, and here's the characters on screen. They had bios about the area and bios about the characters and history of the show and things like that, and family histories and stuff. I think people forget that Microsoft's a big focus for Microsoft is conquering the living room and being your only entertainment device. It's not just about games with Smart Glass. It's about watching movies, listening to music, and all that, very awesome stuff as well. So I think that's where it's really going to shine, is with things like TV shows, movies, entertainment other than video games.
I agree. That's why I kind of wonder if E3 was the best place to showcase Smart Glass. Because while it's definitely interesting, the game aspects of it are the points that get highlighted because every publication out there. Yes, exactly. And I don't know, it's kind of like a fit, like 6 of one, half a dozen of another, because possibly if you showed it off at a different press conference.
I agree. CES would have been a better place to showcase it.
Yeah, I think that CES would have probably been the perfect place. But yeah,
See,
Smart Glass definitely
I disagree with that entirely because
Okay.
one of the biggest things that they were trying to get people on board with is the developers at CES for games. They're coming here with this new area that you can bring things to games. Like, one thing I thought of immediately after watching the Watch Dogs trailer is, oh yeah, I want the Watch Dogs phone on my phone. Like, I want to be able to control all of the elements of that game on my phone. That's an obvious idea right there. Even another one like Skyrim, with all of the lore in Skyrim, being able to, when you find a book, rather than having to put it in your backpack and carry it to your house and put it in a bookshelf, having a digital bookshelf on your phone of all of the lore in Skyrim.
And that would be
pocket.
So much better. Yeah. Besides, because also you get to think if it's on your tablet or your phone, books in Skyrim is an awesome example of I can look at it in front of me instead of I sit 10 feet away from my television and I only have a 26-inch screen. I can't read that or some of those books, and I have very good eyes, but some of that stuff is just it's more of a pain to read than I feel like putting effort into. So that's a great example.
See, the one thing that I will say that kind of is I don't know, I suppose a little bit of a catch-22 is, while it really sounds cool with something like Watch Dogs and Skyrim, which are very major, those games have hundreds of people working on each one, respectively. For a lot of the smaller games, you're not going to see any sort of integration, and I think that's where a lot of that stuff gets lost.
However, it's the same thing with Kinect.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the exact same thing with Kinect.
Not everybody's going to implement it.
Yes. But at the same time, with Kinect, I suppose I'm more interested in the prospects of Smart Glass because, I don't have to pay $150 for something that I'm largely not going to use most of the time. And rather than using the Kinect as my way to interface with the Xbox, I think it's a lot cooler to be able to use my smartphone. That is a total, a total win in my books. I suppose I'm just a little bit bitter from that whole thing
because what Sony showed off sucks. Just saying.
Well, no, I'm not talking about that sort of stuff, but I'm talking if I look at this from a Microsoft versus other tech companies strictly, the way they're approaching how they want to take control of the living room, that's a really kind of a bold strategy, and I think it's really exciting to see them really making some solid moves towards that. The thing that's got me a little bit apprehensive is I just feel like that the actual gaming aspect is taking a bit of a back seat. Where you look at Sony constantly pushing really new experiences. We're looking at, ways that are supposed to enhance experiences that we already have. But in my opinion, I would just assume play something like The Last of Us or play Journey or play an entirely new experience rather than playing a moderately enhanced version of Skyrim by having shouts, which I'm likely not going to use, or, stuff that integrates with my phone.
And
I don't know.
I see that, and maybe there will be that sort of shift where if you're a super hardcore gamer, now Sony's your company. And Microsoft is very bold about wanting to take over the living room. But I can say I'm not nearly as hardcore of a gamer as I used to be, but I still like to play games a lot. But way, 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 way more of my time is spent on Netflix and Hulu on my Xbox than it is on games anymore. Just because it's so simple to be able to access all of those on one device, and I guess if you have Kinect, being able to do voice control is nice too. It's obviously not necessary to make the experience great. It is, but maybe there is that sort of shift where Nintendo's almost doomed, and Microsoft becomes a big entertainment device. That's still a powerful console, but it's like when the PS3 came out, it was. People talked about it's hey, it's a Blu-ray player, it's the best one you should get, and it also plays games. Well, I think we could see Xbox shifting that focus to, hey, this is your it does every single media thing you can imagine box. Also, totally plays games. So,
and I also think it's kind of I think it's a kind of hypocritical from a Sony fan as yourself, Lucas, to blame or point fingers at Microsoft for trying to take over the living room when Sony's kind of been doing that for years. Like, they won the Blu-ray race, and they standardized that, and they've been making TVs. There was one point in time where Sony was the buy-all TV manufacturer, where you wanted a Sony TV, and they've been making home entertainment systems for years, along with the PS3. So it's just kind of, they've tried to own the living room for the longest time, and Microsoft's just saying, well, why not all have it in one device? So it's kind of like, I don't know.
Well, my defense to that is Sony's broken down into many different divisions, and strictly speaking, with like the PlayStation part of it, while they've always been kind of with how they've been trying to get Blu-ray and Netflix, the whole Blu-ray aspect isn't strictly because of the confidence in Blu-ray succeeding as like the media device, but it's also for storage of games. You don't need multi-disc games. It all fits on one single disc, which it's convenient. But part of it is, and this is kind of where I'm having the problem, for, I don't know, maybe the first couple of years of the console race between Microsoft and Sony, it was it was a race to create a standard of who had the most content, like Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime, like Amazon Video and HBO Go, and it's all about like who can get like the most content, and it was almost like sort of an arms race, and it was, really, cool when both of them were producing really cool, interesting games as well. I mean, like on Xbox, you had Left 4 Dead 2, and I mean, that's not exactly like exclusive, but I mean, there was still a lot of like interesting original games that were there that I don't think are there so much anymore. And it's not so much like Sony is like so much better because they haven't been approaching, taking control of the living room, as it is Sony has very, I don't know.
I think they've stepped away from that. Is the main thing. They've stepped away from their idea of controlling the living room. Is Microsoft started pushing this one device idea, or the concept of the Xbox, and Sony started backing off.
And I think that's kind of a smart thing, because I think that's kind of where Sony and Microsoft are going to find their own niches. And that's the one thing with Nintendo. This is getting like kind of really off topic, but
we've been doing this for 2 hours and 15 minutes in total now. So let's just Lucas, wrap up what you want to say. We will talk about RIM for like 2 minutes, and then we will be done. Because probably
just kind of end with. Yeah, I just kind of want to end with. I kind of think Nintendo's doomed to become the next Sega. Doomed to be a software-only company. Because. Yeah.
I will say this: if Nintendo does and they release the next Pokemon game for smartphones, I would buy that shit right away.
True.
Like, there'd be nothing to stop me.
Them immensely. I think it would serve them immensely. Like, they would be very successful as a software-only company because people like their stuff, but the problem is they kind of put it on hardware no one wants to play.
Yep, I completely agree with that. Okay, RIM. Let's wrap this up, because we have been going on for a while.
I'm changing my forecast of dead in 5 years to dead in 2 years. And the reasoning behind that being that RIM announced today that they are delaying the release of BlackBerry OS X until next year. And they're also cutting 5,000 more jobs. So they are doomed. Their stock price fell 35% during their conference call today. If you have stock in RIM, set it on fire. It'd be worth more to you. They're doomed. I gave them 5 years about 2 months ago was my prediction, or that was my prediction on the first podcast. Now I'm giving them 2, if that. They're boned.
Yep,
I don't know
agreed.
if I can exactly say that if you want me to say that in the podcast, but they are. They're absolutely 110% doomed. There's nothing they can do now.
Yeah, I don't even think.
Well, I don't think we're going to be getting any BlackBerry devices anytime soon.
I don't want any BlackBerry devices.
I wouldn't want one. I don't want a BlackBerry 10 device anymore.
Not even for a laugh.
I might, one day I do want to get a shelf of failed electronics, but it's.
I think it's going to be like honestly, it's going to be the pre-3 all over again, where they're going to be like saying, "Hey, this is going to be this new great thing. Check it out." Even with the touchpad, and then they're just not ever going to release it.
Mm-hmm. And I think I made the joke like way, yeah, yeah. I made the joke way back at the beginning of the podcast, like 2 hours and 20 minutes ago, that RIM is delaying the release of BlackBerry OS 10 until after the company's closed down, and I would not be surprised if that's what happens. They're just screwed.
Yep.
It's sad. I hate to see the death of such an awesome company. They used to innovate so well, but they're done with.
And with that, I think we're going to pretty much wrap things up. I do want to throw in a quick plug. Pay close attention on Saturday. We've got something kind of special coming up that will hopefully change the game for TechSpce. And yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty cool thing. Check it out. Pay attention.
All right.
And with that.
Oh, and also I will have my my first week of Nike Plus training article up hopefully Sunday morning.
Ah, cool. Very cool.
And I will hopefully be getting a Nike Fuel Band tomorrow. Well,
yeah,
I'll be
baby.
ordering one at least.
Joe got his today. All right, send offs.
Yeah, I'm Jake.
I'm Alec.
I am Lucas.
Oh, and if you want to follow us on Twitter, I am at EnserJ.
I am at Alec Wiese, and Wiese spelled Wiese.
I might have to get back to you on what exactly I'm at, but I think it's just L Holloway. I don't know. It's a little bit embarrassing.
We'll put it in the post what your Twitter handle is, I guess.
Sounds good.
All right.
Sweet.
Later.
Thank you for listening, ladies and gentlemen. Mostly ladies. All right. Bye.